about passing gas. All right. All right, guys, let's talk about defensive tackle now. So we put an article together here. Ketchup and onion. Yep. I think you've already screwed it up. All right. Let's talk defensive tackle here. An article we put together yesterday, kind of in the vein of us deep diving each position. So where defensive tackles sit on our big board. As the 2025 NFL Draft nears, the defensive line position boasts an exceptional mix of raw power, technical skill, and disruptive potential that NFL teams covet to fortify their fronts. Based on current evaluations and projections as of March 29th, 2025, here's a look at the standout defensive linemen in this year's class. Listed with their projected draft positions, these prospects have dazzled scouts with their physical attributes, college tape, and ability to dominate opposing offenses from various alignments along the line. Number one on our list, he's number 4 overall on our big board, is Mason Graham.
Here's the guy.
So 20, and you guys double check these stats. Again, we had AI pull them sometimes. It can pull them early in the season and not get the totals. So do your own research here. But 2024 stats, 3.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. Michigan's Mason Graham measured at 6'3", 320 pounds at the 2025 NFL Combine, showcasing elite leverage and explosive power, a 2024 Rose Bowl defensive MVP. That stuff is important to me, man. Graham's ability to dominate both run and pass downs make him a top 10 lock and potential all-pro talent. There's no way that he falls to Green Bay at 23, but do you guys agree with me that he's the best defensive tackle in this draft? I mean, that's where he's at on our board. Or do you guys think that a case can be made for like a Walter Nolan or a Kenneth Grant?
I was just going to say, don't leave Walter Nolan out of the mix. I think there's maybe a handful you could argue would be kind of up there, but, you know, I'm with you. I think Graham's probably the best bet going forward. I hope we get him in the first round, but like you said, the likelihood he's there at 23 is pretty low. And I don't know how far up Goody would be willing to move up in the first round in general, let alone to grab a D tackle. So chances are he's not going to be a Packer, but that doesn't mean we can't do well at that position in the draft.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, his RAS card is incomplete. Jacob's 6'3". They're showing 296 at the combine. He was huge last year at Michigan. I remember Greg Cosell said on a podcast, he said, yeah, you know, when you watched him last year, he looked fat. I mean, I don't mean that in a derogatory way or anything. He immediately started backtracking. He looked huge, bro.
Sick.
Like Mason Graham's the best defensive tackle in this draft, Jake?
I probably would say that that's fair to say. It will be really interesting, though, because this is a deep D tackle class. I mean, obviously with Graham and guys like Nolan and Harmon, but even you look a little bit farther down, you could maybe see guys like, you know, Peebles and CJ West and a bunch of these other guys that could maybe really surprise a lot of people. But I mean, that'd be really fun to look in 2 years and see where this class of D tackles is at and who actually shined immediately and who was maybe more of a project type player. But at the moment, I think that that's a pretty safe bet.
Got it. All right. Number 13 on our big board and the second best defensive tackle in the draft, his teammate, Kenneth Grant. Notice it says DL3. Some people think he's just strictly a nose. Everything I've heard, he can play 3-tech. He's got the athleticism for it. You won't notice it on the RAS card, but I'm telling you, man, the big thing on him is his lateral agility and be able to move around as a big guy. But his 2024 stats that are listed here, first of all, his projected draft position is mid-first round, 3 sacks, 8.5 tackles for a loss. Michigan's Kenneth Grant stunned at the 2025 Combine with a 6'3", 335-pound frame and a sub 5.040 is what it says there, which is incorrect according to the chart here. I know some of that stuff went unconfirmed early on. It's probably what it pulled. A captain, Grant's ability to clog lanes and collapse pockets make him a mid-first round prize with raw pass rush upside hinting at stardom. So when you look at the official combine results here, 7'17", he's 6'3", 331 pounds, 22 on the bench press, 31-inch vertical, which is crazy at that weight. That is nuts. Broad jump of 809, 40-yard dash of 513, 20-yard split 301, 10-yard split 172, a shuttle of 476, and a 3-cone of 769. What do y'all think about Kenneth Grant here? Again, another one of those players that, as a matter of fact, he's on our poll question tonight. You guys make sure you go vote here on YouTube and on X. But
Yeah,
Tim,
I voted for Kenneth Grant, by the way. Spoiler alert. Because I think, of these two Michigan guys, he's probably the most likely to possibly be on the board at 23 for us. And there's a lot to like about him. And I want to go D-line early in this draft. I know I have made no secret about that. I think we got to get better in the trenches. We lost TJ Slayton. Kenny Clark is not getting any younger. It's time to add some depth there. So I think Kenneth Grant is not completely out of the realm of possibility, being on the board possibly in the first round. So that's a guy I probably look at a little more seriously than Mason Graham.
All right, Jacob, what do you think about Kenneth Grant? Would you be okay with him at 23, man?
I would. I don't know how realistic that is. It is another situation too where you look at the D line, and when you have two guys that are that great, that big, right next to each other, which one of them was actually the superior prospect. Obviously, we're not going to know that for probably a few years, but he's definitely intriguing, and I think it would help bolster that defensive line and absolutely make us more of an even better, hopefully, shutdown run team. And like Tim said, we got to replace TJ Slayton. I mean, that was kind of the only that true nose or really kind of big guy we had in that middle that was kind of and a lot of players or a lot of fans kind of never, I don't think, give him enough credit. I know Ryan me and him have battled back and forth about TJ Slayton for like 4 years or whatever it is. I thought he made our team better. I don't think Brian would say that, but I want one of those just big superimposing, just gap fillers. I just feel like that's what we've lacked. And I want to see us, I miss the days of even like, was BJ Raji, did he play a lot of straight nose or one tech, or was he more of a 3 tech? I can't remember that.
BJ Raji was a nose in our 34 jam front. Like he played 0 tech 90% of the time, which was hilarious against the Bears when they ran a fire zone blitz and dropped him into coverage for a pick 6.
That's right.
Like you couldn't, Tim, you couldn't sell that script to Hollywood, bro. BJ Raji getting a pick 6. So.
And the
I always miss the old dance. Remember the dance? The big boy dance? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hope BJ's doing good out there, man, for sure. Left the game a little early. Was fun to watch, though, for real.
I love that he disappeared, too. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, he don't need to be in the limelight. He don't need to do podcasts. He just – and his parents were Pentecostal. I think they were Pentecostal pastors. So he may be doing work with them. I don't know, but he just disappeared. It was I kind of respect that when someone does that. Like, all right, man, I don't want to be in the limelight. So.
Yeah, go out on your terms. Grab
you a ring
by the horns. I love it.
Yeah, grab you a ring and get out. Right. That's what it's about. So.
I mean, yeah, like pick 6. Come on, man. How are you going to top that?
Yeah, I think that's what it can only go down from here. Go ahead, Jake.
No, it's good to have Eric back in the chat. He certainly didn't miss a beat. I'll just say.
Here's the guy.
Oh, my God, Eric. I got to admit, I missed you, though, man. I did. It's good to have you back in here.
He was the best guy around.
His keyword was. All right, number 18 on our big board, Walter Nolan, 3 tech out of Ole Miss, projected draft position mid-first round as well. He seems to be rising here lately a little bit based off what I'm hearing. It says 2024 stats, at least at the time that these were collected, 6.5 sacks, 14 tackles for a loss. Ole Miss Walter Nolan checked in at 6'4". Let's see if that makes sense here. So 6'3" is what it says on the combine card, but it says at the pro day 6'4", 305. So somewhere around in there. He was a little thinner for the combine too at 296, it seems. Displaying rare athleticism, speed, bend, and power. A former 5-star recruit. His breakout 2024 season makes him a mid-first round talent with room to refine his technique. Obviously, we ain't got a whole lot on him there, but man, I'm telling you, boys, with Greg Cosell saying this is the best defensive tackle in this draft, meaning better than Mason Graham as well, I shut up and listen to that stuff. Jacob, what do you think about Walter Nolan here, man? Would you be okay with him at 23?
I would, yeah. I've gotten more and more interested in listening to Greg Cosell and really just understanding that the guy knows what he's talking about. And again, I'm kind of been a sucker for this Ole Miss squad too. So anytime we can throw a few rebels over there on the squad, I'd be down with that. And again, I just feel like that he was, if I remember correctly, he was like the perfect blend of having pass rush ability and run stop ability, and kind of having the perfect size frame for what we want, graded out extremely well. I would be pretty excited. And I think it's probably the most realistic fit at 23.
Yeah, I can see that. Tim, what about Walter Nolan, dude? How you feel about it?
One of like 6,750 players from Ole Miss that are probably going to be monsters in this draft. I would agree with your point, Jacob, that, maybe he's the most realistic, prospect being on the board at 23. And, I'm going to give no complaints if we pull the trigger on him if he's on the board.
Yeah. All right. Eric Sutherland said Nolan and West in the later rounds would be perfect. Yes, it would. That'd be a great grouping there. In the 29 spot, we got Derek Harmon, 3-tech out of Oregon, projected draft position late first is what we're showing here. He may go earlier, though. That's just the latest that we've heard. 2024 stats is saying 5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. You guys fact check that. Oregon's Derek Harmon measured 6'5", 325 pounds at the combine. Let's watch it be inaccurate. It is 6'4" and a little less than 6'4.5", 313 pounds is the actual measurement. It says blending size and quickness after leading interior lineman with 43 quarterback pressures per PFF in 2024. His pass rush savvy positions him as a late first round pick for 3 technique needy teams. So obviously with his RAS, it's incomplete, but 6'4", 313, stacking up pretty good, putting him a great composite size grade. And then the speed grade 4.95, scoring an 8.83 with a 20-yard split of 2.89 and a 10-yard split of 1.74. Many people believe this is the best pass rushing defensive tackle in the draft. I want to get your all's thoughts on it, though. Again, we've got him in the 29 spot. I wouldn't be upset if Goody got him there, got him at 23, Tim. I wouldn't be. Yeah. That means Goody obviously sees something in him there that maybe a higher upside. Me personally, I would much rather have like a Walter Nolan or a Kenneth Grant than Derek Harmon. But what do you think?
I would agree with that, but I think Derek Harmon arguably has the highest FBI out of any of the D tackles that we're discussing. Extremely high football IQ. He's from Detroit. We won't hold that against him. He's a Michigan guy. We won't hold that against him. But I think he would fit in pretty well with what Half's trying to do. And he meets a lot of these physical measurables that we talk about, the thresholds. And I like the football IQ because I believe that's important with younger players. If you got a guy that stands out and grasps these concepts early on, he's going to be extremely coachable and he'll probably, develop really well as a pro versus guys that are, raw physical specimens. They're talented and all of this, but they don't really grasp the concepts. So when you get a guy like Derek Harmon, man, the guy just gets it. So that's one of the stronger attributes that I find with him. I would not be upset at all with him being picked at 23. I don't know how far he may or may not fall, or rise really. But definitely a guy that I would want on the radar. I don't know if I'd take him over, like a Graham or Grant or a Nolan, but I do like Derek Harmon a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Deadfish says, nice arm length. Randy Cleaver says, I think that's our guy. J. Cole, if Nolan or Grant is gone, take Harmon. And then, of course, Brett, you highlighted this one, Jacob. I want Harmon, but lately in mock drafts, he is gone before 20. Yep. Everybody thinks they got a 3-tech. Very few teams have a 3-tech. There's going to be teams trying to find that next 3-tech.
Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't mind the pick at 23 personally. I think like what Tim said, he's got that really good FBI. I'd argue he probably has the highest ceiling too for being a pass rusher type 3-tech. Because if he really can put it together, his big knock was that early in his career he didn't have a lot of production, which I guess is true. He played 12 games in 2022 at a 59.8 grade. Obviously, that's not great. But in 2023, he came right back on the scene, played 12 games, had a 78.4. And this last year played 14 games with an 83.9. So, and you talk about 43 hurries. That's a lot. That's a lot of hurries. He had a true pass rush grade of 91.2 and a pass rush win rate of 17.6%. That's very good. That's really good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so Derek Harmon again coming in at the 29 spot. Next, we've got Tyleik Williams. We got confirmation. He is okay after the spill. We can all laugh about it now. All right, it was fun.
And it was a 3.1 on the Richter scale earthquake. That was
exactly
when he tumbled.
Yeah, number 35 on our big board, Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. We got him listed as a 1-tech. However, hearing Greg Cosell saying this guy can play 3-tech, he's athletic enough for it. He is projected late first, early second on the consensus mock draft database. So Tyleik Williams, incomplete RAS again, 6'2", 334. A little bit shorter arms at 32 inches, 20-yard split of 277 with the 972. We don't have the 40, obviously, but I guess they were able to get the 10 and the 20 before he fell down. So there you go. That is kind of, I don't mean to laugh. He's okay. We can laugh. That's funny. They were like, all right, at least we got the 10 and the 20 in. And that 20 suggests that's going to be a hell of a run. 972, 20-yard split. Like that's a 277, but it scored a 972. That's pretty impressive. Jacob, what do you think about Tyleik Williams, man? What you got on him?
Honestly, I haven't given him a lot of time, and I don't know why, because when you look back at his grades, I mean, the guy has been very consistent. 2022, 80.9 grade, 23, 77.6, 2024, 79.2. I mean, that's consistent. You know what you're getting out of the guy. He's basically an 80 player every year. Yeah, decent amount of production, 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 2 sacks, decent amount of hurries, played predominantly in the B gap and a little bit of over tackle, which is interesting. So he does move around a little bit. Few snaps at A gap as well. Run defense grade of an 88.6, pass rush grade of only a 59.8. So I think that's probably why he would fall and slip down a little bit. And a pass rush win rate of only 6.6%. So he's definitely going to be more of a run stopping guy. Fred says Tyleik is a 3, not a 1. I would agree with that.
He's actually lined up in the 1 tech in their base. So that's why we put 1 to give that notifier of, hey, look, this is a guy who can play nose for you. But like Greg Cosell said, he said, you make a mistake with people like Tyleik Williams when you try to look at the stat line. You don't understand how many double teams he ate and how much he did in that run defense for obviously the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes there. So, Tim, what do you think about Tyleik, man? If he fell to 54 somehow, some way, I'd be all about it. But I definitely don't see him as one of those people I would want at 23. You know what I mean?
Oh, I would agree, definitely. And I agree with Jacob that he's your run stuffer for sure. You know, he's going to hold that line for you, but he's not a massive pass, rush threat or anything like that. But one of the things I liked about the PFF write-up is they talked about, his power. Speed to power, as we've discussed numerous times, compact, explosive stance, allowing him to fire off the ball and convert speed to power. So, off the ball guy, this is your dude. I don't think he's going to just, explode through the line and throw bodies around and get to the quarterback, but he's definitely the guy that's going to, maintain gap integrity, and he's going to, help you out in the run fit for sure. And again, another guy that I would agree, second round, possibly even early third if he's there, sure. But I don't think you go up in the first round and try and get him. I don't think so.
Got it. All right, moving along here. We got to go rapid fire. We got about probably about 8 minutes before we need to wrap this segment up. In the number 40 spot, we got TJ Sanders, 3-tech out of South Carolina. His projected draft position is 2nd to 3rd round is what it's showing here. Now, some had him in the 1st. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, but that RAS card is helping, boys. 930, 6'3", 297 pounds, 31.5-inch vert, 904 broad jump with a 40-yard dash. I think it was unconfirmed, I believe, if that's a word. 4.99, scoring an 8.32, and his shuttle was a 4.67 with his 3-cone being a 7.70, giving him a good composite agility grade. But again, TJ Sanders out of South Carolina here, 33.13-inch arms. His hand size, 10.25 inches, with that 930 looking pretty good. What do y'all think? Y'all got anything you want to add to him real quick? Do you like him?
Be a good backup 3-tech. I don't know about a starter.
Right. Maybe someone you could work into that role right in time.
Yep.
I like him. He's well rounded pretty much. The last 2 seasons he's played really solid ball. Pass rush grade of 81.9, run defense grade of 77. True pass set, pass rush grade of 90.3, and he had a pass rush win rate of 12.6. Not bad for a big boy.
Yep.
All
right, next you got Alfred Collins in the 47 spot. All right, and the Packers did meet with him with the cheese emoji. Did they meet with these other guys? I didn't even mention that. I don't think they did. Yeah, Walter Nolan they've met with. Kenneth Grant they've met with. So Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, and our boy Alfred Collins, the Packers have met with so far. Projected draft position out of Texas, 1st to early 2nd is what it shows here. And his RAS card, hand size 10 inches. It's an incomplete RAS, but he measured in at 6'5.5", or 6 foot. Yeah, I guess it's 6'5.5". 332 pounds, scoring him 9s across the board. However, the explosion, very poor. 26-inch vert and 800 on the broad there, scoring a 2.59 and a 1.20. How do y'all feel about Alfred Collins, and more specifically in the 47 spot?
Yeah, he's definitely a run stuffer, I think, too. His pass rush win rate grade is only 6.9. Run defense grade at 85. Pass rush grade is 69.8. Played some A gap this last season, almost 150 snaps. Predominantly played in the B gap and a little bit over tackle as well. So they move him up and down that line for sure.
Yeah, he played. Some people said he can play 5 tech. And he may have misspoke, but I think this is the guy that Greg Cosell said, make no mistake about it, he's a true nose, is what he said. And that caught me off guard, Tim, because I remember us specifically talking about him playing some over tackle. You know what I mean?
I was going to say he was more of a D end, right?
Yeah.
That's what Drew D says, that he played some D end in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, let's go rapid fire here, boys. 74 spot on our big board. Darius Alexander out of
Here's a
Toledo.
guy.
He's lately been projected as a late first rounder, which is wild to think about. His RAS 916, 6'3", 305 pounds, 28 bench reps. Explosion grade was great with a 31.5-inch vert with 904 in the broad, 40-yard dash of 4.9. Lacking a little bit in the agility aspect of the RAS card, but Darius Alexander, another one of those guys that I think is going to start turning heads as we get closer to the draft here.
I agree. I like everything about him except his age.
He's 20. He's going to be 25 his rookie year.
Yep. Other than that, though, I think he might be one that people are sleeping on. This is a guy I think could rise or maybe drop a little bit, beyond projections. But I think whoever drafts Darius Alexander is going to get a hell of a DT for sure.
This dude doesn't miss games, and even since 2022, there's a 77.5, 80.6, and last year a 90.1. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
No question. I don't think I'd want him at 23, but at 54, if he's there, you'd have to really think about it.
I mean, his games by week too, pretty much. Almost every single game was high 70s, if not elite 80s. I mean, he ended the year with an 80.6, a 73.8, a 81.5, and 88.2. I mean, guy was on a roll.
All right, up next you got Vernon. How would you say that? Broughton.
Yep.
Broughton. Out of Texas, 3 tech. He's all over the board. 3rd to 6th round is what I've seen here in the last month in terms of mock drafts. So somewhere between round 3 and round 6. Incomplete RAS. However, he did measure in 6'5", 311 pounds. Look at the arm length, guys. 35-inch arm length.
Jeez.
That's insane. Hand size. Get them little tiny hands, though. 9.25. What do y'all think about Vernon Broughton? Y'all got him anywhere? We got him in the 105 spot there. So.
I think it's another one of those, he played with Alfred Collins, right? It's kind of tough sometimes when you got, top tier prospects that are on the same team, same line. I think Broughton doesn't have the measurables that Collins has, as far as, like you said, the size, hand size, that kind of thing. But it's kind of a crapshoot. I think, one or both of these guys could turn out to be a stud in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Broughton was an 86.1, which was the 12th ranked D lineman out of 895. Alfred Collins was 87.2, which was the 9th. So they were, like you said, that was quite a double duo there.
Yeah.
All right, up next we got Aeneas Peebles. Is that how you say it, guys? Do we know how to pronounce their name yet?
I thought it was Aeneas.
Okay, Aeneas Peebles. The Packers did meet with him, 3 tech out of Virginia Tech. He's projected between the 4th and 6th round as it sits right now. RAS 704. He only measured in at 6 foot even, 282 pounds, however. The explosion grade was great, though. Vertical of 32.5 inches at 6 foot. That's pretty wild. 901 with the broad and a 4.94 40-yard dash. The agility did not qualify for a grade there where he didn't perform in the 3-cone, but he did score a 5.53 in the shuttle with the 4.70 time. What do y'all think about him? It seems like somebody that the Packers are on here with.
Yes. 4th or 5th round. Yes. Maybe even 3rd, depending on how you did in the first 2 rounds. If you didn't get D line, you may want to think about grabbing a guy like this before the top tier guys really fall off the board. But I like Peebles a lot. I really do.
Yeah, he grades out very well the last 2 years. Seems like he stays on the field. Consistency. Had 31 hurries this last year with an 89.1 grade. The year before had 86.1 grade. I had 24 hurries that year as well. Predominantly played B gap. Did do a little bit of A gap and outside and over tackle as well. And a pass rush win rate of 17.8% with a true pass set pass rush grade of 91.2. Dude was a baller.
Here's the guy.
People's in the 107 spot. Next, you got CJ West out of Indiana. Another guy that in the base defense can play the one tech, but you want him in a 3. 108 on our big board. A 4th to 5th round projection is what it's showing here lately. RAS of 915. Only 6 foot, right? Is that 6'1"? Is that what that would be, guys? I think it would be. Yeah, right? Yeah, 6'1", a little over 6'1". 316 pounds, 28 bench reps, a vertical of 33 inches, scoring at 933 there. And then the 40-yard dash of 495, scoring an 883 with a nice 20-yard split of 287, scoring an 835. What do y'all think about CJ West around the 108 spot the Packers have met with him?
I mean, you'd talk about consistency. Since 2022, his grades have been an 80.1 and 85.9. This last year was an 83.8. Seems like he plays pretty much the whole time. Missed a little bit of time, maybe. It looks like maybe last year in 22. A gap, he played more in the A gap in 2024 than he did in the B gap. 219 snaps at A, 198 at B. The year before, he was predominantly B gap, and the year before that, predominantly A gap. So the guy's been versatile. Pass rush win rate of 10.1%, run defense grade of 88.1, pass rush grade of 72.9. I would take that all day.
And people see the arm length and go, no way. He's a tape guy, though. Sound like he's a tape guy.
Yep.
All right.
I think him kind of at that top tier of like, guys like Jordan Phillips from Maryland, Deion Walker is another guy. I think CJ West is probably at the top of that kind of tier of D linemen in this draft for sure.
Got it. All right. So CJ West again, the 108 spot. Next is at 124, Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. Late first round is what we were showing here late, which was crazy.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And it was weird, too, because as I was combing through, some of the dates get shuffled around, not in the order. And I'm almost positive, I double-checked that, too, that there was a couple of mock drafts here lately that had him going late first. Now, again, you guys remember when we did the breakdown on him, how he was like, when we had the chart, he was in the upper right. I'm pretty sure he was leading all defensive tackles when it came to pass rush win rate or something like that. It was something crazy that he was in the upper right, maybe a combination of run stops with pass rush win rate, something like that. But RAS card is Cheeks, 5'7", 6'1", 291, 31.5-inch vertical, 905 on the broad. And the 40-yard dash, he looks slow as well, 517.
Yeah, give me CJ West all day.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That is interesting, though. The guy, he has a pass rush grade of 81.6, but he has a pass rush win rate of 18.9%.
Dang. All right.
It's crazy.
All right. Next, here's a guy, Deion Walker in the 126 spot.
Yeah.
My body is falling. Now, the latest projection I'm seeing is 2nd to 3rd round. With him being in the 126 spot on our board, I love me a Wildcat, but I can't subscribe to it, man. I'm sorry. 6'7", 331 pounds.
Thick.
Arms 34.25-inch long and 10.6 on the hand size there. Vertical jump of only 25, though, scoring a 173. But that's a whole lot of boy to try to get up. The bench press is what caught me off guard. I expected more than 22 reps, but so there you go. We got to go rapid fire. We were way behind here. Thor Griffith, I will give you a chance to talk about him, Jacob. In the 140 spot, he's projecting 6th to 7th round here this year. And again, with the RAS being incomplete, hand size was 10 inches, arm length 31.5, 6'2", 305. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, this is just probably my late round draft crush, maybe of all the players this year. Thor Griffith has just graded out unbelievably well. He is one of the unique cases where he's actually went down in grade each of his 3 years. But when you start in 22 at a 90.5 and then come down to an 89.2, and this last year finished with an 84.3, you're still kind of like, okay, that's legit. Run defense grade at 84, pass rush win rate of just about 10%. So not the best, but he seems like he's more of an anchor, run stopper, and every now and then, could maybe flash and get you a sack or two. But I'd be totally pumped in the later rounds to get him.
All right, rounding out these lists, we got Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon, projected 4th to 5th round, a 3.43 on the RAS. It says, final thoughts, 2025 defensive lineman class is a treasure trove, features elite talents like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Walter Nolan, alongside versatile mid-round prospects like TJ Sanders, Alfred Collins, and Deion Walker. From immediate impact starters to high upside depth, this group offers solutions for every defensive scheme. As the draft process unfolds, these linemen will be pivotal names to watch for strengthening NFL fronts in 2025. So there is your defensive tackle breakdown, and that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour two. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome back. All right. It's a smooth transition right there, Tim. I appreciate it.
Good.
So, all right. So we hit the defensive tackles, obviously. That was a lot of fun. Did we learn anything? Is there anything that stood out to you guys about that little process, or did we kind of feel like, got a good grab on where this defensive tackle class is?
I think we got a really good grab on it. That was a great article, man. It kind of summed things up. There's a few names that, we didn't have in there that may or may not rise or fall, but I think that's a good, in a nutshell, breakdown of those interior D-line guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think what I learned is that even though we may want to grab one in the first, there's options in the draft.
Yeah.
If we for some reason the draft board just doesn't work the way we want it, and either there's a better prospect that's not a D tackle, or the cookie don't crumble the way we want it to, I think we have more than enough options in the second, third, fourth, and even later.
Even beyond. Tim Smith out of Alabama comes to mind. I mean, we even talked about Riley Mills.
Cam Horsley.
The kid from Ole Miss, JJ
Peagles.